Okay, welcome to SO LOOP HY MAAR, another episode of this podcast. My name is Pietie Beyers, and I'm joined by my co-host Neil Benjamin Kidd. I've recorded this intro like 5 times because every time I get to like 3 or 4 minutes, and then I'm like, oh my gosh. And I was like, I'm not going to make it so long. I'm not going to try do a podcast before the podcast. I'm going to try and keep this short, brief, concise, and strong. Um, the reason why I want to speak so much is because of the excitement and trying to really capture the essence of what's to come in this podcast. But um, let me rather do David Scott do the talking. This is an interview with David Scott, aka the Kiffness, a musician currently living in Cape Town, who's really is made famous and well known for his music. I one morning, woke up a few years ago and I saw this song on my feed called Soul Safari. And I already knew of the Kiffness and David Scott, but this song just blew me away. The music video and song was so catchy and beautiful. And ever since David Scott from the Kiffness has been marrying memes with music and parody. He's really become quite a bit of a social commentary spokesperson in South Africa. His videos are shared, like some of them north of 8 million times on YouTube, or viewed more than 8 million times on YouTube. And now he's in quite a lot of hot water with the EFF and the whole Clicks saga. We are so lucky to have him on this week. And for me, it's just special to see what kind of human being he is. He's a seeker of truth, someone who uses his platform to really share his voice, which I find extremely authentic, truthful, humble, and always with a sense of irony. Neil and I absolutely adored and loved speaking to David. David, I know it's soon, we just met, but I already love you, brother. You're a champion of the heart and spirit, and I know lots of the things you do that might be seen as very controversial, but I can see you look for the golden mean, as you so eloquently put it. That was my reminder. I just didn't want to cancel a reminder of doing something. I just didn't want to cancel this intro because I feel like we got the golden mean now. You found the gold. You find a golden thread of truth between lots of noise and polarities, if that's the right way to put it. He's also got a new perfume out, Tsek, Tsek, like Futsek, and it's a legit super amazing perfume and cologne. Check it out. We also chat about that. This is not a long episode, but it's a power episode. Enjoy this incredible episode that we can't wait to share with you right now with the Kiffness, aka David Scott. David,
Hi,
Oi,
David.
PT,
what's happening, brother?
are you
What's
lekker?
cracking, man?
So, there you go. There's Neil. How's it?
How you doing, dude?
Yeah, good on yourself.
Good.
Lekker. Thank you so. I'm PT. This is Neil. I just want to start by saying, David, thank you so much for still making time for this. We know, like, there's lots going on, and we appreciate the fact that you've still committed to this. Thanks so much, bro. I appreciate it.
It's a great pleasure. Sorry about yesterday, but yeah, date night. It's important.
How did the
Of
date
course.
night go?
Yeah, it was lucky, eh? I don't get to see my wife that much these days because she's working at a fine dining establishment, very long hours.
Okay.
And yeah, when we do get time to see each other, gotta make it count.
Yeah.
How
Well, I
does
think
it-
lockdown worked out well for you because we saw a lot more of your wife in that time.
Yeah, no, you don't see her as much anymore. Although she had the opportunity to be in today's parody, but I think she was trying to have a nap. Only afterwards she said, "Oh, I wish I'd like come in the background." and like done a little Jerusalem dance with frizzy hair. But
dude, I thought about the other day, like, do you have to convince her to be in some of these skits, or does she volunteer, or how does it work?
depends what mood she's in. Depends. Very much depends. Sometimes I don't have to ask. Other times she very reluctantly accepts, but I have to like say, please sing in this song, or please do a little dance.
She's got an insane voice. Like, is that a real voice in the parody?
It is a real voice. I've always known she could sing, but for the one song, the Lady Gaga Shallows parody that we did,
Yes.
I think she surprised everyone, including myself. I was like, oh my word. Like, in that moment, I was like, what are you doing at chef school? You should be flipping recording albums.
Yeah.
But I suppose some of the videos, like, I mean, that Mafro song was obviously, it was written about her. Well, it was written, she was a crucial element. So I don't think that was possible without her.
Yeah, I mean, it was written for Mafro de Toy, my Afrikaans school teacher, who obviously taught me very well.
Yeah.
But my wife was a school teacher, so I think
cool.
she filled the role really well.
She did. Her accent sounds pretty like proper Afrikaans in the song. I was like, wow, that's very decent Afrikaans. Not that yours doesn't sound good, but she sounds like. Oh, you were at an English. Were you? I'm trying to figure out, because So by the way, Neil and I both, like, we've been following you forever. I mean, I was actually just listening before this. I was listening to the song Soul Safari, which is still like
that's great, man.
Thanks, man. Yeah,
but
one of my favorite songs.
Yes, I remember that when that music video came out. So, but just to get some context, so I know you studied at Rhodes.
Yeah.
Did you grow up in KwaZulu-Natal? Because I saw something that somebody said like Michael House, or I'm not sure. Where did you go to school? Were you there?
Yeah, so I did go to Michael House. I didn't grow up in Natal. I grew up in Joburg, but Michael House has quite a big Joburg contingency. I'd say about 1/3 of Michael House is Joburg boys. So in Joburg, I went to the school called Prydwen.
Dude, I wanna. Okay, Neil, I think you wanna dive in. Let's dive.
Where were you guys at school?
Okay, so we've got some fanboys. We feel like we know you. It's that weird thing, right? So we both Afrikaans. I was actually in English pre-primary school in PE. My brother went to grade PE, and then we moved to Cape Town. Then I went to heavy Afrikaans school in Kloof Street in Cape Town, Jan van Riebeeck, which is like the most colonial name ever.
I wonder how long it's going to stay.
Yes, no, that thing's going down. That's time bomb. Neil?
Yeah, I was in a school in Somerset West called Par of Valais, which is, it sort of gives the impression that it's in Paarl, but it's not. It's weird.
It's confusing.
It's so confusing. So I also don't know how long that's going to stay, but that's for different reasons. It's just more confusing than colonial.
Yes, just doesn't make sense.
And David, you stay in Cape Town now?
Yeah, I've been here for about 10 years.
Cool.
In the southern suburbs, enjoying life in my little flat here. And yeah, been married for 4 years.
Don't give your address in case.
Yeah, I was about to let it slip in case Julius has a listen to this podcast. Which is very likely, considering that he's probably going to be reading the news, or someone's going to WhatsApp him my latest video, I'm sure. So, yeah, I'm not going to be giving my address away.
Are you just on that note? So by the way, Neil, this podcast, we've done quite a few episodes, and this is you obviously know podcast, so it's a different form. We want the guest to feel comfortable. I don't want to put anyone in a corner. We on the side of the guest. We wouldn't invite someone if we didn't find them interesting, blah, 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 blah. But just on that note, how are you feeling? It's obviously been quite an interesting week. We've been checking out your stuff. There's been lots of reaction. How are you feeling? Because you're a brave man.
Well, my theory is that the truth always aerates. The more you can get the truth out there, the more kind of steam you take away from fear mongers like the EFF. And yeah, like, and I think because I'm kind of a public figure and I've got my own voice, like, I think for an ordinary kind of citizen who's not used to being in the spotlight, it would be a very scary thing to kind of be getting death threats and, you know, crazy messages from, you know, far left, woke, communists, whatever, like tuning you must die or whatever. I mean, it can be scary, but I think, you know, given the gravity of the situation we're in, you kind of need to be brave. Like, this is not a time to be silent. And if I do, you know, mysteriously go missing, give Derek Watts a call, because he'll air it on carte blanche.
So have you been getting death threats, dude?
I don't think any of them are serious, but yeah, Twitter can be quite a mean place. I don't read every comment that's made about me on Twitter, but you know, when I see my notification bell is at 20 plus, I know that I must maybe not read everything, rather just stay off it.
But I see you do reply on some of it. How do you pick what to reply on? Do you pick on what you think is a good comment, or do you think what you not agree with? Or
yeah, I mean, it's impossible to read through everything. I try not to spend too much time on Twitter or Facebook. But I guess generally I normally reply within the first 10 minutes to like a comment that I might see. You know, and if I do reply, I always, you know, try and be kind or funny at least, and not get too kind of personal. A lot of these comments are very personal, but I think I understand that if someone does threaten me, someone who doesn't even know me, it's normally a projection. I'm kind of the target of their own kind of insecurities, and I understand that. So I understand there's a lot of hurt and confusion and frustration, and people are looking for targets to kind of put that on. So when it's a white male like me who's making fun of the EFF, I can understand that it's bound to happen. But I also think, you know, I can't just be silent about it either. Like, a lot of the time it feels like I'm hitting a brick wall, but, you know, we need reason and common sense to be out there. People can't be scared to speak truth to power, you know. Otherwise we will end up like North Korea, or, you know, that's kind of the path it seems like we're going down at the moment. But hopefully, you know, the justice system prevails, and, you know.
Have you ever been taken to, or has it ever gone a bit further? Have you ever been taken to court or been, I mean, obviously threatened with legal action before, I would assume. But
yeah, so I got a lawyer's letter from Mazzotti's lawyers. I made a parody about the cigarette ban, and it was a parody of Eiffel 65 Blue. So in the verse, like, it was kind of like a rumor that was going around that, you know, they somehow linked, but it wasn't necessarily based on any facts or evidence. But I think given that it was a parody, I thought, you know, this is all said in jest. I can say whatever I want. And I played it for my brother and my dad, and they said, you must change that part. Like, I'm telling you, you don't want to mess with Mazzotti. And I was like, no, man, I make parodies all the time. Like, nothing's going to happen. Next day, lawyer's letter. So, I mean, when that happened, I was obviously very shocked. It had never happened to me before, but then I thought to myself, you know, you got to pick your battles. You don't want to be messing with, you know, cigarette moguls, lawyers. Like, I could have taken them on, and I probably could have argued a very strong case to say, well, this is a parody. and you can't take what I'm saying seriously. But, you know, it would have been quite expensive, financially and emotionally draining. And I just thought, let me just take agreement with them where I said, well, I think for the most part, people actually enjoyed the song for the chorus. You know, just the blue, I'm in need of a guy. You know, that was the part that people liked. So I just said, can I re-upload the song, but I'll just take out the verse. And they're like, yeah, go ahead. So yeah, that was an interesting experience. But I think when it comes to public servants, I wouldn't say they kind of operate under a different set of rules, but it's very, very rare for a public servant to press charges because of the very public nature of their job. You know, they kind of should just be open to any kind of scrutiny, whether it's false or true.
No, sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, no, I was pretty much done there.
So, proof for you're a champion. Anyway, I mean, I love your fucking humor. Anyway, dude, so was the only their only request for you to in the lawyer's letter to basically take it down and then it's like quits?
Yeah, so obviously when I took it down, I started getting messages from people saying, where is this? Like, why did he take it down? And I couldn't say anything until I'd reached an agreement. Okay. And I'm not the kind of person that wants to kind of leave my fans in the dark. And, you know, like a lot of people, well, I wouldn't say a lot of people, but people are saying, where's your spine? But I don't think they understand, like, how traumatic and crazy it is to kind of get, like, a lawyer's letter.
I can only imagine. Yeah. And
especially when it's like a guy like Mazzotti. I mean, I think he's mellowed out a bit now. Like, we had a chat on the phone and, you know, it was very interesting to say the least.
Really?
But, like he's, so, he basically just explained, you know, he's said, you know, everything he's doing now is above board. I mean, there's still a lot of speculation, you know, probing from carte blanche and that kind of thing. But, yeah, it seems like, you know, there might not be a connection between him and NDZ. But I don't know. Like, you never know.
And then you did a parody about taking the song down.
Well, yeah. I mean, with the blue song, there's obviously that whole intro. Yo, listen up, here's the story. So it just made sense. Like, well, I can use that part to explain what happened. And I think a lot of people were grateful. They finally understood what had happened.
Because you made a post to say that you received a lawyer's letter about that parody, and my initial reaction was, I thought that the patent owners of the Eiffel 65 song has written to you saying you can't use this as a parody. Yeah. I've also wondered how that works. I mean, are you allowed to make a parody of any song you want?
Technically, if I was uploading it to, say, Spotify or Apple Music, then I'd have to get, you know, very explicit permission to do that. But when it comes to YouTube, the videos are normally, the monetization is normally split. So publishers will get a notification saying someone's doing a cover or a parody of your artist's song, but most of them just kind of turn a blind eye because they're getting revenue from it. So unless there's like a very so I'll tell you what happened with one of my first parodies that I did of Toto Africa. That got taken off YouTube. And it was soon after someone had told me that they knew the guitarist from Toto and they'd sent him the video. So I was very keen to like hear what he kind of thought. and apparently he just said, wow. That's all he said. So whether that's wow, this is amazing, or wow, someone actually did that, like, not cool. I don't know. But the next day it was taken off YouTube. So yeah, I'm guessing they didn't like it.
Well,
Toto Africa is sacred. You must not parody that song, otherwise you'll get a copyright strike. So yeah, that's I think the only instance of not wanting, their song to be parodied. But I think for the most part, like, people don't really care, as long as you're not, like, infringing on their rights or, painting them in a negative light.
Yeah.
And I can understand that. Like, if someone parodied my song, which I was proud of, and they were expressing views that were just, like, against everything that I believed in, I'd maybe also want them to not take or to take it down, because if it makes me look bad in any way, I can understand, like, why there's a sort of process in place. But
I wonder how Weird Al Yankovic got away with all of that.
No, he's had lawsuit after lawsuit, like, but he's got the resources to kind of fight these battles.
Yeah.
Like, if I was in Weird Al's position and I had a, like, crazy good lawyer, and Mazzotti's lawyers came after me, I would have said, don't speak to me, speak to my lawyer.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not really in that position, unfortunately.
Don't you find I know your music is, excuse if I don't, it's like electronic house, excuse if I don't, coin the genre exactly. But I also saw an interview where you say, like, merge music and memes and now also satire, right? And you made a very cool point about, like, the truth almost trumping all. What, if I can ask you this, like, answer it as you please, what excites you or makes you happy about the process? Is it like one of those things, like an artist, that I need to get this out? Is it like I want to educate people? Does it make you excited? Does it, like, what do you get from it? Is it a public service, or is it a bit of everything?
Yeah, I'd say the process for me is the prize. That's the only thing that actually matters to me. Whatever happens after the creation is merely a distraction in my view. So yeah, it depends on what I'm creating. If I feel a kind of moral nausea, if I can call it that, like when it comes to this whole clicks thing, and you just feel like vomiting because you're so frustrated with, like, how crazy everything is. If I'm feeling like that, then the process of making a parody or satire is like catharsis for me. It's just getting rid of this nausea that I feel. So yeah, when I was thinking of ideas for, this clicks thing, the idea for Jerusalem just made sense. And yeah, just creating the whole thing makes me feel better, like if you had to compare how I was yesterday to how I am now, I feel so much more at peace just because I've kind of gotten this thing off my chest.
Yeah.
And I think it's rewarding to kind of, see people responding and saying, you're saying what I've been feeling, or I feel better about this. And I think it's because I've been through the process that they go through watching it. So yeah, I guess when it comes to satire, that's my process. But yeah, with my other stuff, it's hard to explain. I've released a solo EP under my own name, David Scott, which is very different to, the Kiffness stuff. I'd say Soul Safari was kind of my journey into that kind of space where I was making music that was maybe a little bit more introspective and beautiful. And when I traveled in 2018 with my wife throughout Europe, I wrote that EP kind of on train trips, in departures, lounges, which is why I called it Departures. But it was also kind of a departure from my 20s and into a new chapter of my 30s. So yeah, when I wrote that EP, it was kind of just a response to, the new sights and sounds and foods and everything that I was experiencing. And, when we had the chance to just, wait in a departures lounge, I could take that feeling that I had and put it into music. And again, just the process was the prize. The fact that it did well afterwards is amazing. Like it exceeded all my expectations. Like it's gone platinum. Wow. It's been helping me kind of stay alive in lockdown, actually. Like just getting the revenue from the streaming has been a major blessing. But yeah, each song is very different. I read something recently that said parody is a game, but satire is the truth, or something along those lines. I don't know if I'm quoting it correctly, but yeah, a lot of the parodies I wrote, so I was kind of just at home, bored and looking for ways to entertain myself. But I think when it comes to, these kind of political issues, I think it kind of moves more into satire. It's difficult to know which box to put it into, because there's an element of parody where it's just fun and, messing around. But then there's also the element of saying, this whole left woke communist ideology is going a bit too far.
Neil, can I quickly jump in with something?
Yeah.
I'm just thinking of something now, because you write, like, I'd love to. By the way, if you can, before I ask my question, what kind of kid were you at school? I know it's a very hard, subjective thing to ask, but I would love to know what kind of kid you were at school, because you must have been such a jolt to have in school. I don't know, how were you like you are now? Were you were you friendly with everyone and doing your own thing and I don't know, eccentric musician or funny, quirky? What was your vibe?
Yeah, I've always been, into music, and I think I got along with most guys, whether it was a jock or a nerd or whatever. I got on with most people, but I think at times I was maybe misunderstood or just seen as weird. And I think that got to me a little bit at times, where it just felt like no one really understood what I was on about. And that'd be a comment quite often, like, yes, bro, why are you so whack? Like, are you cooked in your brain? Like, what's your... why are you like this? You just wanted to fit in and not feel different. And I think every kind of teenager goes through that, where they just want to fit in. It's just part of being a teenager.
Yeah.
But I really did feel a bit isolated and lonely at times. Yeah. I just felt like no one really got me or what I was on about. But yeah, I think for the most part, I enjoyed high school. I think it was tough if you're like a bit of a softy musician type person. Those kind of guys are often bullied or victimized. But I think I was lucky in the sense that, I played sports as well. Like I was into rugby and cricket and athletics. So, yeah, I think I didn't really have that much of a tough time. I enjoyed high school.
Were you funny at school?
I this was like pre-memes. My homework diary, which I was obviously meant to put my homework in, was just full of drawings of like teachers and cartoons that I'd made. My brother's a cartoonist. Like, he's an amazing artist. And yeah, growing up, I obviously saw his art and wanted to be like my brother. So when I first went to Michael House, he left as a kind of legend. Like, my brother was a Michael House legend for his amazing art and his drawings. He'd do caricatures, but like so good. I'd get prefects saying, "Can you draw like your brother?" I'd be like, "Not really, but I can try." And then the prefect would be like, "Draw this teacher," or whatever. And then I'd draw him. Like, and it would be all right, you know, but again, I felt like it was a substandard version of what my brother would have done.
So your brother's what's your brother's name?
Mike Scott.
Mike Scott. Okay.
Yeah, so he's done quite a lot of work for Goldfish. He's done pretty much all of their music videos, like their animated videos. Done stuff from Nickelodeon, developed a show with Nickelodeon. Actually, kind of done like a bit of music and sound effects for. So yeah, it's been cool having a brother that can do that. He's actually just also done a lyric video for one of my David Scott tracks that are either coming out later this year or early next year. So yeah,
is he the one involved in all of your videos? Or who edits your videos? Because that's sort of part of what I see as part of the genius of your brand is the unbelievably entertaining videos. Like take the video Wiggle, for example. who shot that?
Shot. So I shot that with Nathan. We just kind of cruised around with the cell phone, and I downloaded a VHS app to kind of give it that old school look.
Yes.
But yeah, like I've been getting into videography, just invested in a semi-decent kind of camera, and yeah, no, I really enjoy it. It's a bit like music production in a way. It's actually very similar. I think so I use Premiere Pro, which is kind of built off the same engine as Logic Pro. Looks and feels very similar, and you can actually use a lot of Logic Pro sort of functionality in Premiere, which is nice.
Yes.
So yeah, I enjoy it. But yeah, like when it comes to the animated stuff, my brother's done a lot of stuff for me. He designed the Kiffness logo.
So cool.
This is Kiff Records, which he designed.
Cool. Is he an SA? And if I may ask, is your dad also like autistic?
My dad is, but my dad's a doctor.
Wow.
Yeah, so when I first left school, I wanted to be a doctor like my dad. I wanted to follow in his footsteps, and I lasted 6 months at Wits Medical School. Because I didn't have any time for music or anything else, and I felt like my soul was slowly dying, and
you needed to go on
a soul
safari. Yeah.
So your dad is not Cat Stevens. That's not your dad.
Well,
that's still the funniest thing I've ever seen on the internet are those comments. It's just amazing how things can spiral out of control.
It's mad, and like seeing it on the news in Spain. I don't think the Spanish news channel went as far to say that this is Cat Stevens and his son.
Yeah.
But
it takes like one person to say that, to just assume that, and then just say it, and then it's just like spreads like a wildfire.
I didn't realize it was on the Spanish news. That is insane. Why would it be? Why?
Who knows? It's amazing how things spread. Like when I made this video with my dad, like I thought it was nice, and you know it might get a a good response, but it's been by far the most like shared video that I've ever made. It's got like 8 million views on Facebook, and I don't think it would have gone as far if people didn't buy into this lie that it was Cat Stevens and his son.
That is so. By the way, I just wanted to ask quickly, just for my own curiosity, is your brother in SA? Does he do his work from here?
Yeah, so he's in Plet with my folks.
Cool.
He's got his own place in Plet, and that's the beauty of animation, is that you can work pretty much wherever you want.
So that's a rare place to live.
Yeah, I mean, that's where I met my wife, and I've been begging her, please can we live in Plet, but she doesn't want to live in her hometown, her small town upbringing. And I think it's quite a common thing for people who grew up in Plet. They just, when they leave school, they want to get as far away from Plet as possible. And I can understand to an extent, but I would probably want to live in Plet someday.
Can you afford not to be in like center town where you have to go drive to gigs and stuff? I mean, isn't it also the right place for you to be?
You make a good point, but if things carry on this way, I'm not going to have gigs anytime soon, or at least gigs that are worth playing. I mean, doing gigs for 50 people are cool and all, but you're going to have to charge 200 grand plus at the door to kind of make it feasible.
Yeah.
Well,
but we did play a gig the other day for a 50th, and that was obviously 50 people, but it was a lacquer client, and they're willing to pay our set fees. So I think, those are probably going to be our gigs for the next while. Kind of small functions, and the odd live stream, which I'm not like the biggest fan of, but if it's
I can imagine for someone who's used to praying, like I think quite a big thing of your brand as well is to entertain the crowd. Like it's a good live show to be at, and I think it must be quite weird to see no one in front of you when you sort of.
It is quite weird. Yeah, I mean, sorry if you're hearing like gas stoves and whatnot, but I'll give you a little peek into what's going on here. So our kitchen's currently being renovated, so we've had to move our whole kitchen into our living room. So we're watching TV next to the fridge. We've got the microwave right here. So it's a bit crazy, but so we're cooking on gas at the moment.
Can we just tell you, while your wife looks like she's got such a brilliant sense of humor, and you're such a sport. It feels like you're such a legend. You guys are fucking you've got such a funny, sophisticated sense of humor and irony. It's brilliant.
Thank you so much.
And she cooks really well.
Oh my gosh, we're not gonna keep you too long. By the way, where were you in school? Were you in school in Plet? Is like Plet?
Yes. So I went to pretty much the standard primary school, and then I went to Whitebridge High.
Oh my!
To make it sound fancier.
Because all the Cape Townians are like, I went to Bishops and Westerford and whatnot. So
but it's Wittedrif. Is it Afrikaans and English school?
It's pretty bilingual. It sounds very Afrikaans, but I would actually say it was probably more English people than Afrikaans. Okay. Very bilingual. Yeah. Did you guys go to? You said you grew up in PE. Did you go to?
Jan van Riebeek.
So PE, we were at PE when I was young. My brother went to Grey PE. Then we moved to Cape Town. Then we went from like English to Afrikaans. So we were English in PE. We moved over, family traumas, all kinds of shit, and Afrikaans. We were a colonial Afrikaans school, but a mix of cultures in the middle of the city, and. It's so interesting. It's so cool meeting you guys. You guys are fucking awesome. But anyways.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. Shame. Well, don't feel any rush because I've still got quite a long while to go with dinner.
The chickpeas are still on the go.
No.
So no rush at all.
Thank you so much. Thanks, man. Neil, do you want to go before I ask my next question?
Yeah, I just wanted to check, David. So a lot of I just want to get back to your sense of humor. So that's something that I've always sort of appreciated, because it's something that I've got a keen interest in. So I've always followed comedians and stuff. And I said to my brother-in-law the other day, who's also a big fan of yours, I said, how is everything that this guy posts funny? Like every now and then you sort of have to get a dud, but it doesn't seem. And I'll give you an example.
So good at English essays.
Yeah,
you write so well.
Like that video that you found. I don't know where you found it, but it's that lady who says, "My name is Renata and I'll be your dance teacher." She says it like that. It is. I think I've watched that about 50 times, but after a while, it's not even funny anymore. It's just looking at this video and saying, how did this thing was obviously real at some stage, right? That's a real video. Where did you find that?
So I was also curious about Renata Bliss, and I did some research, because I was like, how can this be a real thing? But I actually found an interview with Renata, and she explains how it was like a spoof video that she made.
Okay.
I can't remember exactly what the reason was, but it wasn't like a real dance instructor video, which I was a bit disappointed by. Actually,
I must say, I'm also a bit disappointed. But I mean, where do you find these things? So that's one example. But the other example, I think, is the more famous one is the Zoll song, but the video behind it. I mean, I think I saw like a screenshot of a WhatsApp post that you and Max Hurrell had, where you said to him, "I've been up all night editing," and then I think somewhere I read that you were thinking you saw this video a couple of years ago, and then you looked online everywhere for it. And then you managed to find it. Is that right?
I didn't actually have to look that long. No, I was able to find it quite easily. The thing that was quite hard to find, though, was the original source. Because I'm the kind of person who wants to, credit creators wherever I can, and give credit where it's due. Because, these guys are flipping awesome. Max and I were actually talking about how, if this was early days before Zoll had blown up. We're kind of joking and saying, if Zoll blows up and makes a lot of money, we must use the money to fund a trip to go and find these guys in Central Africa and show them the video. And the whole documentary is about how we.
Yes, I would watch that.
Yeah. So we haven't spoken about it in a while, but. Yeah, he's been coining it. So I'm sure he had the deal with Chicken Licken, with them using the song.
Yeah.
The song's done really well. Like, it went to #1 on Spotify, and I'm really stoked for the guy.
Yeah.
Such a great song. It was just the perfect combo of everything.
Yeah.
It works. Like, it was rebellious, but it was just such a catchy song.
Yeah.
So
and it stays in your head. It's one of those songs you can't get it out of your head.
Exactly.
I think that's probably it's one of those trigger songs. It just
So when I first heard it, it was, I think, 10 or 11 at night. And then the image of those guys in their underpants came to my head. The other thing that worked so perfectly was the guy was smoking a Zoll and listening to the radio.
Yes.
I'd forgotten about that.
Yes.
But it worked so perfectly when Dlamini Zuma was saying, all this stuff about anything tobacco related, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So,
and what also made it perfect for me is that there's that little intro part. Where the guy's sitting listening to the radio, it's sort of the perfect little intro part. It sort of gets you going, and then the guys start dancing at the drop. Yeah. It's just perfect.
It's perfect. It
was meant to be.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
David, so oh my gosh, I feel I can go to my own little personal existential moment where I'm just like, look, I wish I've I've known you and your wife. I wish we've all been friends forever. You guys are fucking legend. Anyway, dude. I wanted to say I love what we're talking about now. I was just thinking now. I lost my train of thought now for a second. Oh, you were saying that you couldn't go to sleep at like 3 because it's like you want to get this thing done. It needs to happen. Right, lots of different things, but in the Afrikaans industry. So, but I know that feeling when it's like it needs to. It's almost like you need to purge it from a place of meaning and purpose and joy and everything. But like, so do you have the feeling when it comes out? If it's, let's say that's also. Are you looking forward to that it's going to bring people, I think it links to that previous question of bring people joy, or is it once you've finished it, it's none of your business anymore?
Look, I mean, I do get a kick out of seeing the reactions and the shares, but attach any kind of value to that because I know that it's such a frivolous thing. So I kind of try and adopt a sort of Buddhist philosophy where you don't attach any value to the outcome. Like, and it's counterintuitive. It's human nature to kind of want to make it about the outcome. But that's kind of the roots of suffering. Dude. Because, one day, I'm making a video that gets 1 million views and it's all lekker, but then, there could be a time where I never make a viral video ever again. And then I'll be kind of wanting that feeling again, and I'll just be letting myself down. And I've kind of learned that, you can't force this kind of thing, and you can't chase that feeling. You just have to be happy with where you are in the moment. And if an idea comes, lekker. Enjoy the process. Enjoy making that idea and making that idea come to life. And I've learned, like, just throughout my career, I used to set these goals like, yes, if only I could play Kirstenbosch one day, like, my life would be sorted. And then we did play Kirstenbosch, and then it was over. And then I was like, well, what?
Yes.
And it was always like, if I could just make a video that got 1 million views, I would feel fulfilled. And then it happens, and then I'm like, I don't feel fulfilled. Maybe for a second, I'm like, oh, cool, it happened. But then it's so fleeting. The feeling comes as quickly as it goes as quickly as it comes.
Dude, I can see your mind. Yes, you're saying so many things that are connected, but I think that's why, for me, and this is not just to gush, or this is just not just to like hoy high fives to your ego to attach to, because I see where you're coming from 100%. It's just a recognition of something beautiful. I was actually speaking to my psychologist, Overshare probably today, that I see from time to time, and she happened to be, she's like a very Western, very like, but I today heard she's actually a practicing Buddhist, and I was like, sure, I never saw that coming. But anyways, and what I wanted to get to is that thing about, I had such a good point in my mind now. It felt so good in my mind. It was probably my ego getting too attached to my good point. Now I've lost it. It seems like it's like a thing of like work in private is rewarded in public, but I can see like it's you really believing what you're saying, and that's why it resonates, and that's beautiful.
No, thanks, man. I'm glad that comes through because I think it has been a sort of key to my success is that I'm not afraid to speak my truth. And it's a scary thing as an artist. You don't want to piss people off. You don't want to, lose fans. And that's something I've gone through, like where for the first like part of my career, I saw, I've got 5,000 10% or 20% of them don't like what I'm feeling right now, and then they unfollow, and then I've only got 4,000 fans after this. And like, I think that's where a lot of artists stay and never like break through. But I think I just reached the stage where I was like, stuff it, whatever I think is true and right, I'm gonna say it. And I went through that painful process of seeing loyal fans, leave, but then making new ones. And then through that process, realizing it actually doesn't matter who comes and goes, as long as I believe in what I'm saying.
Exactly, dude.
It's not like you only speak out against the left. I mean, I think you sort of you don't take any sides. I mean, look at the video you made about Steve Hofmeyr. I mean,
yeah, yeah. I mean, I've kind of swung on the pendulum. It seems like you guys have kind of followed my career, but if you look at who I was, I don't know, 5 years ago, I might have leaned a bit more to the left. I feel like I may be a bit more center now. I don't know, like it's hard to say, but throughout the process, I've never said stuff that I don't believe in, and I'm not afraid to be wrong either. Like I look back on things I've said 5 years ago, and I'm like, yes, I got it wrong there.
So brave. It's sorry, man.
I think it's natural to swing. I mean, it's natural to question your thoughts and to question your views. I mean, life and morals and everything are forever changing as we as human beings develop. So I think it's natural to change with the time. So I don't think it's weird at all to be swinging around. I mean, none of us really know what the right answer is and where we're all going. But I mean, I think the point that you make is you need to be able to say what you feel and what you think. And that's why I think freedom of speech is so important. Because once you take that away, then I think you as a country are totally fucked.
Yeah, no, totally. And I think it's important to be able to see both sides, or at least try to see both sides. And I think I understand both the left and the right. And I think at times, depending on how extreme you are, like none of them are right. Some of them have elements of truth that I like resonate with, but then there are other parts where I'm like, no, like you're not seeing this. But it's for both sides. And I think, when I studied at Rhodes, we covered a bit of Aristotle, and it's always stuck with me what Aristotle said about the golden mean, which is the space in the middle between two extremes.
Yeah.
And the middle is often where the truth lies. So, for example, if I'm trying to think of this example they would use, but say you come across a dog drowning in a river. On the one extreme, you could be a coward and let the dog drown. On the other extreme, you can try and be, what's the word?
A hero.
Not brave.
Like overzealous.
Like stupid.
Yeah.
And see that the river's flipping going and you're going to drown yourself if you save this dog, and then you both end up dying. You need to find that space in the middle where you achieve a virtue. And the virtue in the middle of the extremes of cowardice and idiocy is bravery.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what I try and do. Like whenever there's something like this Clicks thing where people are exploding on both sides, and calling each other crazy things, there's always, I think, the perfect kind of balance between these opposing views where the truth is.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm after. The sort of gray
yeah.
area.
Yeah.
I've seen the way you reply with not only with eloquence and with humor, but also with kindness and with a way of like almost once removing slight Buddhist, like there's like a slight bird's eye view that you take that's very respectable and courageous, because you're not afraid to speak the truth, but you don't do it as a personal attack. And something that I just wanted to actually bring up that I found very interesting, and I remember my girlfriend and I, who happens also to be a doctor as well, we spoke about this because I remember you, like, this is as on the opposing side, I suppose, of the whole like EFF saga right now, or Clicks thing, is that you at some stage said like, you know, if it was something up in the lines of knowing the name of your domestic, for instance, your domestic worker, but knowing the actual real name instead of just calling the person, let's say, Precious or whatever. So I've been studying Zulu for now 2 years. Every now and again, that's like my name drop. But anyways, and it's opened my eyes to so much. And so I can see there's like, it must be such a difficult thing to navigate. And the golden mean is probably that line of truth you're speaking about, because in a country with so much baggage and shit, I suppose you can't only cater for sensitivities, because then you're never going to hit something pure. Because it's like, I know in that domestic worker thing, you were going far left and being like, listen, fucking racists, this is what's going on. And now you do something slightly on the other side, and all of it's got truth in, but because of where we come from and our projections and the country's baggage, you know, and humanity's baggage, yes, it's layered with so much. But it's very courageous that you go for the jugular and you go for what is truthful. And I believe, and I'm sure you believe that in the end, the truth is the only thing that sort of that can trump it.
Yeah. The thing with domestic workers' names is an interesting one, and just personally, learning Sylvia's real name, Nomi, or Norma China is her full name. We call her Nomi. Just that thing alone, I think, has brought us so much closer and has kind of been a sort of avenue into her life and vice versa. I think, and also with the domestic worker that was basically my second mom growing up for my whole life. For 25 years, I just thought her name was Jane. And then I learned her actual name is Chachamazo, which was like, it's crazy. I've known this woman my entire life, and I've never actually known her real name.
Wow.
And I think when people, you know, realize that they might be in the same position, it's quite shocking, actually, but not in it's a bittersweet thing.
Yeah.
Because it's an opportunity to kind of deepen the relationship, but yeah, just make it more real and personal.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. So yeah, like things like that, I mean, I think come through. I had a bandmate, Clem, who I'd have a lot of conversations about this kind of stuff. I think he's helped me quite a lot kind of break out of my shell and kind of think out the box when it comes to race relations. We hardly ever saw eye to eye, but we made amazing music together, which is quite interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we both learned a lot from each other during our time. So yeah.
Was he sorry, just to there, Neil, then I'm going to give you a chance. I've been talking so much. Was he a white English guy, Clem?
Clem's a colored guy who's an incredibly talented pianist and saxophonist. So we wrote songs like You Say You Love Me.
Yes, I just listened to that.
He features on a bunch of tracks.
Right.
When we did the 5FM Mash Lab with Tresor and did Evergreen, Clem wrote quite a lot on that. He's got a way with chords and melody and everything that's just really good. So yeah.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. And tell
we
me,
respect the time. We're not going to be too much longer that you can have.
Yeah, we've gone. I just wanted to ask now. So what can we expect from you in the time to come? Are you making parodies? Are you making new music?
Yeah.
We have to just mention Tech. We just have to mention Tech, the perfume.
Oh yes. Where's my Tech?
Can we just quickly stop there? That is brilliant. That's actually for sale. I went onto it and checked it out. That's fucking amazing. It's like proper.
Yeah, it's been quite cool to kind of make a meme an actual product. So here's the ladies.
It smells amazing.
It really does smell great. So like I've luckily partnered with like a proper perfumer. It's imported A grade French oil.
Sick.
And you can get it for, a fraction of the price of like these other things, just because I don't know what the main reason is. I think when you're buying like Hugo Boss or Dior, whatever it is, you're paying for the name essentially. Yes. I don't think it costs a lot to make this stuff, but it's just a weird world.
I'll pay much more for a name called Zach. But I just want to say, it's so just to quickly plug something of yours as well. What's the easiest for people to get to literally buy after they've listened to this? If they want to buy it, Zach, I know you've got an Instagram. I know that you've got an Instagram handle for Zach, TSEK.
So they can buy it on my website, sackfragrance.com, and it's available in 100 for $300 with $100 shipping.
That's brilliant.
And it's eau de parfum, which I've learned is like very good quality. If it's eau de parfum, it means it's 24 or 25% French oil, which means that the fragrance lasts longer. If you're thinking of an eau de toilette, it's more like 12%.
Oh wow!
And doesn't last as long. And a lot of these fragrances, like Hugo Boss, which I think my wife bought for me for my birthday one year. It's a really nice fragrance, but it's an eau de toilette, and I think it was quite a lot more expensive. So, yeah. But anyway,
something else I read on social media, I think it was yesterday, someone commented on an ad to say that what really sort of blows their mind is that when you spray the perfume, it actually makes the sound of the name.
Should we test it?
Sick.
That is fucking beyond brilliant.
You're so brilliant. Oh my word, it's funny.
Can I ask one last question and then have your dinner, please? It's just, this is a fucking special moment. Dude, by the way, your wife is a lucky lady and you're a lucky man. You guys are fucking really, we see your spirit because we've been following you. We see what you put out, man. Really appreciate you.
Keep on going.
And keep on going. Yes, I would be able to ask you 7 million different things because I'll be like, how the fuck do you land? How do you get the perfect? But anyways, to actually make it happen. But that's for a story for a different day when we walk each other, I don't know, in the Robberg on the beach or fucking in Cape Town or whatever. And then I wanted to talk about, like, fuck, am I the only person that's got like anxiety and all kinds of things in this modern life. But that's also maybe for a next time when we get to know each more personal. But the way
Come
we
for
made
dinner.
I'd love to, Roo. We'd love to. I want to just ask you this, and you can answer it just like you want to. Can I ask you what makes you happy?
What makes me happy? My wife's pointing at herself.
Yes, brilliant.
So the correct answer is my wife makes me very happy at times. Sure. Yeah, I'd say no, but honestly, my wife does make me happy. And I'd say, yeah, just being able to create memes and make my memes into dreams, that makes me happy. To see an actual meme turn into a physical thing, like that's happiness, man. To see an idea that came from the electric signals in your brain, and to see it become an actual thing, that's fulfilling.
That's awesome, man.
Whether it's a physical product like this, or a shift in society's way of thinking, or like it's not always tangible, but ideas, I think, are the most important thing to live for. And if I can get my ideas out and use technology and things to kind of just get ideas out there, and to see them being received well, actually that's not happiness, because that's a distraction. That's going away from my Buddhist philosophy.
From your Stoic philosophy, yeah.
But you're allowed to, even my Buddhist practicing psychologist told me, like, I deal with similar things and this kind of that thing. And she said, and I was like, yeah, but what about, I've enjoyed this ego validation. She was like, as you said earlier, you're welcome to enjoy that as well. Now at last, not get too attached, but you're welcome to enjoy it. If that's a reward and it feels lacquer for a moment, klop it, enjoy it. I just want to say, speaking of enjoyment, I just want to say, before Neil and you say last thing, I just want to say, dude, I know it sounds cheesy, but I really appreciate you, and I appreciate your wife, and I'd love to come for dinner one day, me and Neil. You guys are you're a big generous spirit, bro. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on the podcast, man. I mean, it didn't really feel like a podcast, but
that's what we like to do.
Yeah.
It's just a chat.
Felt like I was just having a good old chat with the buggers, eh?
That's great, man. Okay, dude. Have a good week. See you soon.
You too, guys.
Thank you so much, bro.
Cheers, man.
Thanks.
Bye.
Cheers.